Marc was just a 9-year-old boy doing a chore he hated, mowing the lawn, when something hidden beneath the grass changed everything. What began as a boring task turned into an extraordinary journey involving a mysterious gold ring, a secret engraving, and a life-altering decision. But that's just the beginning. Why did the jeweler offer Marc $10,000 for the ring? Who was the secret owner that refused to be named? And how did Marc's single choice change his best friend's life forever? This isn't just a story about luck. It's a powerful reminder of how kindness, honesty, and courage can rewrite a young boy's future and touch lives beyond his own. Stay until the end to discover the unexpected twist and the incredible gift Marc receives, one that money can't buy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss our real-life stories that inspire and surprise. Marc Smith is a 9-year-old boy from Redding, California. He lives with his parents and brother in a beautiful suburb of the city. He attends a private middle school and spends a lot of his time helping his dad out. They live a happy and uneventful life, but that is all about to change. Although Marc loved helping his dad, his biggest pet peeve was chores, worst of which was raking the yard. Marc was willing to help with anything else in the house. So one day his dad sat him down and made an interesting deal with him, a deal that left Marc confused. Marc's dad, Paul, had come up with what he felt was a great plan to get Marc into raking the grass with less complaints. He explained that every time Marc raked the grass, he would get to do their favorite activity during the upcoming summer break. Though Marc couldn't understand his dad's motive, the deal was enough to get him to rake the grass with no complaints. Soon school was out and summer vacation was in full swing, which meant Marc could finally reap the benefits of his deal with his dad. Marc was excited and couldn't wait for the weekend to come. His brother would be coming back and they would both be able to spend time together. But what was this activity Marc loved so much? The 9-year-old boy has an older brother, Peter, with whom he is very close. Marc and Peter didn't always get along. That was until Marc was old enough to come along with Peter and their dad on their special activity. Together, the three of them would walk or hike up the trail in the woods together. This was nice because when they got high enough, they could also camp for the night. You see, the family had a holiday home in the woods about 20 kilometers from their house. There they spent the night camping in the backyard and going in if the weather condition changed. This was Marc's favorite thing to do, and he couldn't wait for his brother to come home, as he had stocked up on his points. Their family rule: it was 2 more days till Peter would get back home. After that, they would both head into the woods with their dad the day after. Marc had cleaned up his gear and was excited to go, but he felt extremely bored staying home alone with little to do because of the Smith family had a very strict rule. They were not allowed to play video games or watch television for more than 4 hours a day. While Marc and Peter did not usually mind this rule, as they enjoyed being outside, it meant that Marc had nothing to do in the house while he waited for his brother to come home. Marc likes to explore things and prefers to build huts with his brother in the woods, especially in the woods near their holiday home. It's a big wooden house with more than 3 hectares of terrain. This is where Marc will find the object that would change everything for him and his family. Soon Peter arrived and both boys spent the night planning their outing for the next day. They had not seen each other in weeks and were excited to be out in the woods again. This time they would hike more than 10 miles. Before they knew it, the D-Day arrived, but with its own set of complications. When they arrive at the forest, his father parks the car. They check if they have enough to drink and eat and begin their journey. Halfway through their hike, the unexpected happens. It begins to rain. This is very uncommon in California. Seeing the rain, their dad suggests that they turn around and head home. However, Marc insists that they continue on. He makes a counter-suggestion, taking the long walk towards their vacation home. They had not intended to head there that day, but Marc also added a great point. Paul insisted that with the growing rain, their usual route would not cut it. They would need to take a new trail that cut the journey in half. Both boys nodded, accepting the compromise as fair, and all 3 of them set off on the new trail, hoping to make it to the vacation home in one piece. The new trail was shorter, but a little steep, and with the rain, it proved a little difficult to maneuver through. Finally, after 2 hours of walking, they arrive at the house. They are all exhausted, but most of all, they are glad to be at home. But then, trouble strikes again. Peter groans loudly. When Marc and his dad turn in concern, Peter points to his legs. His brother Peter has a bit of trouble with his feet. They immediately decide that he has to rest. They choose a suitable place in the garden. His father puts a rug on the grass so they wouldn't get wet. Peter had very fragile legs, When Marc was still 5, his older brother had been badly injured in a car accident. Although he had miraculously survived, he had needed surgery and rehabilitation for his leg. This meant that Peter's leg would occasionally hurt, especially when strained. So while it was not shocking, both Marc and his dad were concerned. When they sit down, Marc suddenly feels something stinging against his lower leg. He couldn't tell what it was, but it was causing a weird sensation beneath his leg. Soon it felt like the area was numb. Marc was scared. He had heard that there were some poisonous snakes in the woods and feared that they would bite him. He motions to his dad to help him take a closer look, still too nervous to search for the bite mark himself. However, his dad explains that there are no bite marks. There is, however, something much smaller stuck on his leg. Marc sighed in relief, glad he was not poisoned. But now he was curious and wanted to know what had gotten stuck there. To his surprise, he sees something glittering. The object is very small, but shimmers like the sun. Peter and his father are very curious. The object is covered in mud. Marc tries to remove the mud from the object with a stick. Then he sees what it is. The object was tiny even in Marc's small hands, but it was still covered in a lot of mud. His father asks him to be cautious, but even before he is done speaking, Marc's curiosity gets the better of him, and he begins to wipe the mud off the mysterious glittering object. Both he and his brother are shocked to see what it is. It's a glittering gold ring. Very slowly, he takes the ring out of the mud and puts it in his palm. Looks like the ring has been there for a while because it is a bit deformed. Marc's father immediately sees that this could be a real gold ring, but who owns it? Marc passes the ring to his father, Paul, who used to work in a jewelry store and knows a lot about such items. Paul searches for any inscription that might identify the owner. There's no name or date, only a tiny, heartfelt engraving. It's clear the ring once meant something special. Paul tells Marc the decision of what to do next is his. Marc hesitates but appreciates the trust his father and brother place in him. After a moment of thought, he decides on a course of action that surprises even Paul. He tells them he wants to take the ring to the local jeweler to find out its value and possibly its origins. Paul is impressed by Marc's maturity and agrees. They hurry back to Reading, hoping to catch the jeweler before closing. They arrive just in time. The jeweler gives them 5 minutes and quickly examines the ring. Initially, he estimates its value at $3,000, noting it's 24-karat gold. But after a closer look, he suddenly declares it's worth $10,000. Everyone is stunned. Then the jeweler says something unexpected. He knows who the original owner is and can return it, though the owner wishes to remain anonymous. He asks Paul if they want to sell or return it. Paul again leaves the choice to Marc. Marc thinks it over and gives an answer that shocks everyone. He chooses to return the ring. The jeweler, speechless at first, laughs in disbelief. He explains that Marc will still receive $10,000 as a reward from the grateful owner. A few days later, the family receives another call from the jeweler. The owner was deeply touched by Marc's honesty and wants to give him something else, a scholarship to any university of his choice. The entire family is thrilled. The jeweler also says the owner wishes to meet Marc. When they meet, Marc is surprised to find an elderly, wealthy woman. She explains that the ring belonged to her late husband, who had bought it with all his savings and engraved it with what little money he had left. It was his final gift to her. She then offers Marc another unexpected gift, an engagement ring. She had included it as part of the reward, but wasn't sure Marc, being so young, could make use of it. But Marc had someone in mind. He remembered Justin, a close family friend who often babysat him and his brother. Justin had recently confided in Paul that he was saving up to propose to his girlfriend, but was struggling financially. Marc decides to give him the ring. Justin is overwhelmed with gratitude. Less than a week later, he proposes, and she says yes. The entire family celebrates, and Marc feels proud knowing both rings were used for good. Marc proves that teaching and allowing kids to act in love and kindness is always a rewarding experience. Now much older and heading to college debt-free, Marc often visits the elderly woman, and they share long conversations. Meanwhile, Justin and his wife are thriving with their growing family.